It's Tuesday.
I was waiting for a song. No song this week?
I've got my mind set on Tuesday.
Always count on Jenny for a song. We are so glad you're here today. Thank you for joining us. We have an awesome show in store for you. Stick around. We're going to talk internet history, and we've got an expert here to share. But before we do, let's introduce everyone on the show. Go ahead, Jen.
All right. So with me, we have Caitlin, and we're going to call her the parking ticket because she's got fine written all over her.
Heyo. I did actually put on eyelashes for today.
Oh my God!
Eyelashes, just mascara. Just mascara.
Okay, I was gonna say wow.
But I will say I have had to put that stuff on recently because the other day my son goes, Mom, are you gonna like put on your eyelashes? Because you always look beautiful, but you look more beautiful when you have your eyelashes on.
Hey, he's
like,
learning
really?
the language.
He's the reason I have Botox. Because of the lines on my forehead. So, you know, I'll take the fine compliment today since I actually do have makeup on. But that's Jenny. She's my good looking, elegant baby turtle. I don't have a weird, it's such a weird compliment.
Okay. But you elegant baby turtle. Like I have this picture of the turtle like wearing a bonnet that has diamonds on it.
Oh, okay. I wasn't going bonnet, but okay.
Like baby bonnet.
I could. Oh, I was thinking like, I don't know.
Not hair protection bonnet.
No. That's the one I wear to keep the curls. Okay.
Yeah.
I do wear a bonnet. Okay. And you might hear another voice in the background. That's because we also have Taylor Lorenz on the show, author of the new and already celebrated book, Extremely Online, The Untold Story of Fame, Influence, and Power on the Internet. And she is this is ridiculous too. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance, Taylor. She is our fluorescent light bulb of truth for all things online culture.
That's good. That's good.
So random. I can't. It's so
Taylor,
weird.
feel free to add that to your email signature.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'll be updating all my bios.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect. Love it. So just so you know, this is nepotism at its finest. Taylor and I actually met at CU. We were in the same sorority. We lived in the same house. And I don't know if you remember this, but I moved into your old apartment on the hill when you left. I moved into your old apartment because we had the same roommate for a little while.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. And I actually just went up to see you over the summer. We took our son there and we walked past the house and I was like, hey, there's our old apartment. It was wild. It's so weird, but this is definitely a nepotism. You do?
I have a picture in front of that house actually.
Oh, yeah. Do you?
And at the time, I think like something was happening to it, but it had all these like caution signs all over it. Like they weren't letting people inside for a while.
I think it's still under construction. There's definitely a lot going on. They took all the skis down around the ski house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not the ski house anymore.
Oh
anyway,
God. Things are changing. Things
are changing, guys. Yeah. So that's why Taylor's here. But also, we're just so excited to just have read part of your book already. It's so good, you guys. We're gonna get more into that. But before we do, let's do our circle time. Yeah.
All right. It's time.
Okay.
Sit crisscross applesauce around the carpet. We're going to tell stories.
Okay.
The first one I have to talk about is what I'm currently obsessed with.
Do it.
The podcast called Sold a Story.
Okay.
Stop me if you already know about this.
I do not.
Okay. This is the investigative research about the debate between whole language reading and phonics reading instruction.
Oh, are we talking the science of reading debates?
We are talking science of reading. It's six episodes that I binged in 2 days because it is so riveting. And not just as an educator, but as a parent of a child who has dyslexia. It is so interesting that for years, the American education system, including teacher training, ignored the science of phonics to go with whole language.
Yeah. It's
oh my
shocking.
gosh. I have goosebumps talking about it, y'all. It is so interesting.
It's all that anyone is talking about right now. There was that whole research that just came out last year that was like, you guys, we've been doing it wrong for years. And it's fascinating.
not just we've been doing it wrong for years, but Fountas and Pinnell, who was basically, the Jesus of teaching reading.
Right.
These two women knew about this research and still promoted their program.
And still pushed it. Yeah. It's so disheartening, and I hope that we can move in the right direction, because there's so many things that we need to be fixed here.
Yes.
We're behind in reading for a reason. So yeah, it's a big deal. All right. Well, now I'm sold. I gotta go listen to it. I'll add it to my list.
You can listen to the whole thing in 2 days.
I'm sure I can. Maybe. Depends on how much laundry I have to get through.
Oh,
that's usually when I do my listening.
I stayed up late to listen to it on a school night.
Not.
I did.
Why?
It's like, okay, it's 2. I need to go to bed.
It's 2:00. Okay.
Yes.
No.
That's how intense this is.
No, I
Wait,
can't.
I'm writing this down right now. I'm severely dyslexic. I want to listen to this now.
Yes, you do.
should.
Yes, you do. So my daughter Abby just finished academic language therapy in the spring, and the whole time that she was working with this certified therapist, I kept saying, "This sounds like it's just you're teaching the science of our language. You're really working on the sounds and decoding and learning about how this blend always makes this sound, except here, 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 and here." And I just thought everyone should learn to read this way. Well, the science says
It turns out everyone really should be learning to read that way. Yeah. Wow.
Okay, I'm done.
No, I'm loving it.
I'm stepping down.
Well, yours is good, because mine is once again a product, because apparently I'm the most materialistic person ever. So I have
last week my obsession was a cruise ship you could live on.
That's true. You did talk
go ahead.
about the World. What is it called? The World something?
The World
Yacht?
Residential Yacht.
Oh, that's what it is. The World. Okay. Yeah. So do you know that, you remember pomade, when pomade was the rage, a while when we were all doing hair, everyone moved away from gel and went into pomade. Yeah.
My husband was very into it.
Yeah.
To get that wave that he has.
Yeah. You had to do the boy hair thing. So, it was never a thing that I could really get into. I don't have the kind of hair that needed pomade. It's just not, it wasn't a style that I ever, whatever. So apparently they make pomade in a stick form though. And it comes in a stick. And when you're putting your hair up in a ponytail or whatever, you can use this wax stick to rub the flyaways in, which is good, because I have all these little baby hairs that stick out on the side, and you can use it to do the super cool, very trendy slicked back hairstyles now.
Yes. Now,
and I did not know this was a thing. Yeah.
Is it purple and then dries clear?
No, mine is clear.
I'm just saying, it sounds like something made by Elmer's glue stick.
It does sound like that, and it sort of looks like Elmer's glue stick. I'm not gonna lie, it just but no, I take the stick, I use it, and I smooth it on my baby hairs on the side, and they actually don't pop out, and mine are gray, so it's an extra special look these days when they stick out really far like this. And they've never grown. They've always just been the same length, and they stick out further after having a baby. So it's it's really nice to be able to slick them back a little bit, So highly recommend, look up wax stick on your favorite online A to Z store, and you'll find a bunch of them. Anyway,
Taylor,
that's it. Taylor, do you have an obsession right now?
It's hard to top that because I'm just thinking. I need products. I always have those flyaways. I literally lie down on the back of my bed and put my hair back, when I'm doing my ponytail, to make sure it all goes back.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, I just thought of something and now I forgot it already. Oh, well, I'll tell you exactly what it is. So you can't really see her, but I started buying 10-foot long iPhone cords, chargers, iPhone charger thing.
Yeah.
Every charging cord should be 10 feet or 12 feet. It's just it's such a game changer, because you never, before I was always too tethered to the phone. My phone's always dying. Right. And I just started buying always the 10-foot ones. And it's just great. And if you have to plug it in at a Starbucks or something, sometimes your phone's dying, you have to plug it in some random place. You don't have to sit next to the charger. It's just, I'm telling you, all charging cables should be 10 feet.
I am imagining rolling over in the bed.
Yes.
I am imagining being in the back seat of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of these things, new worlds are opening to me.
It has given me so much freedom. Just
Yes.
even I was just cooking the other day, and like my phone, I had the recipe on my phone, and I used to have to like go over to like where the charger, and I just pulled it out. It's just so great. It's so great.
That's smart. It's really smart. I tend to dislike extra cord length. Like I have a thing about like needing cords to not be like just dangling everywhere. I don't like how it looks, but I also am like, man, I really need my phone to be off the dock right now. Like I need to, I got to figure out but I like this idea. I could always unplug it and then put the cord away. That's the way to get rid of it.
Yeah. I got these little like Velcro things too.
Yes,
like,
there it is.
You just like wrap it so that it doesn't look, they're not like the cords are not loose all over my house, but it's just so great because I'm always like in that situation too, where it's dying right when I need it,
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
If dogs could talk, do you think they would ask for 10-foot leashes?
Oh yeah. I think they'd have a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
All right.
Okay. Here comes my favorite part of the show. Maybe not this week because we have such an interesting guest, but this is the gem of the week. This is your chance to either laugh with me or at me at something that happened to me. This time it's with me. Okay. We had a buddy in from out of town, and we were trying to decide where we could go for a family dinner with this friend. And we said, oh, what if we went to the rotating sushi bar? For those of you who are not familiar, this is a restaurant where you sit at a table and the sushi comes by in a conveyor belt around the restaurant, and you could just take right off the conveyor belt and they charge you by the plate. Kit, my 4-year-old, has never been to that. And he looks at us, deadpan. I think that would make me vomit.
Oh.
Because he thought the restaurant rotated, not the sushi.
Oh,
my God.
sweetheart. Oh, he's not wrong. If that's how it works, I probably would get sick too. But
we're like, no.
goodness.
You're not spinning around in a circle and eating raw fish, man.
Like what little one uses that word? That's how you know his parents use like professional and like authentic science language all the time around him.
Because, we also say Ralph and Upchuck.
Yeah, you have to. But otherwise, where else is he going to learn those words? That's cool. But I love that he said, that's so sweet. What a sweet little boy. Yeah. I disappointed my son yesterday.
Oh.
So, he has a Nintendo Switch, and we did that because we wanted to be able to vet his device usage, right? Like this way we know what he's playing and we know what he's being exposed to. So a big favorite at our house, as many people's houses, is Mario Kart, and probably has been since the N64, right? Like since it really became super cool to play Mario Kart. And with Super Mario being in the movies and all those things, it's become a big deal at our house. Well,
shout out Rainbow Road.
Right. And Princess Peach for being quite the baddie. I mean, who knew, right? Who knew? That said, he wanted to play Mario Kart with me yesterday, and he goes, "Mom, do you know how to play Mario Kart? Like, basically, like, are you sure you're ready for this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I know how to play." And I whooped his butt in a single race yesterday, and he just looked at me like, "You deserve the trophy today." And then he goes, "I really thought like I was going to be better than you at this, but I wasn't, and I am disappointed with myself." Oh, sorry, I don't let people win. It's not in my nature to just let them, even if he's 7, I just don't do that. So my bad, but like, nah, I felt good about it. I came in first in every race.
John also plays that way with our kids. Right? Like if they're playing foosball,
gotta learn.
They are not going to score. If they're playing air hockey, they're probably going to have their knuckles bleeding by how hard he hits the puck.
That's me too.
And when I was growing up, there was an article about Cal Ripken Jr., who, was a very famous baseball player.
Baseball player, yes.
Yes, he actually broke Lou Gehrig's streak of how many games he played in a row.
Right.
And he was on the Orioles, which was my dad's team. And there was this article about him raising his kids that he did not let his kids win. And when my mom was growing up, the rule was let the baby win.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there was this big debate in our house about, is Cal Ripken kind? Is he raising his children the right way? And now I live in this Cal Ripken house of like, no, you don't get to.
We don't let, I don't let, no. I mean, I might like let you score in foosball. And also when I play foosball, I'm also weirdly good at it. Like I had a lot of practice when I was a kid, but like I'm weirdly good at this game. And I surprised everybody by showing them my skills fairly recently, but I will play like one-handed with my son, or I'll only use the back two handles and not the front two. Like I will do whatever I can to like help it along, but I'll still score with the goalie. Like I will still work it. So like it is what it is. So when I beat him in Mario Kart, he really was just like, I did not see that coming. He's just so disappointed. Oops. Oh, well, that's my gem. Taylor, do you have one? Anything cool happen recently?
Yeah, well, I have to say the coolest thing that happened to me, which is I live in LA. So as a journalist in LA, sometimes you get invited to like just random things. And I got invited to this luncheon at Kathy Griffin's house with like all these celebrities. It was in honor of this influencer who I kind of know. She's like a TikTok content creator. And yeah, so I went to this like Malibu. She has this like Malibu mansion, like overlooking the water. And
oh my gosh.
It was like Margaret Cho was there and Rosie O'Donnell. And it was just so crazy. And I was just like, where am I? Like, this is so crazy. And then I had to drive back to my like shitty little.
Cool. So that was really fun, but now it's done.
And now reality sets back in as I pull my Civic, like here I am. Oh man. I saw those pictures and I was like, this is nuts. And I sent the picture to Jenny and I was like, this is on Kathy Griffin's Instagram feed. And she's like, oh yeah, that's cool. And I was like, no, understand me. I sent her a screenshot of you circled and I was like, this is Taylor. And she's like, what?
I died because when she first sent me the picture, I was like, I'm confused by Margaret Cho's hat.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting, but
it was quite a hat. It was so
she did
cool.
Look gorgeous.
It was so cool.
But I was like,
what event is this?
Like
where that
1940s.
Yeah, it was, and then
absolutely.
She had like a scarf as part of it, which I thought was so cute. But I did not realize that was not the topic of the picture. I was, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was like, look one more time. Like this is there's all of these amazing people in this picture, and yes, these outfits.
And then randomly me.
I
thought it was awesome.
People are like, who is that?
No, I was. I mean.
No,
I'm
it's
like
who is that? I don't know about her. I need to figure her out.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, it's like,
really
if this chick's hanging out with all of them, she's probably pretty famous too.
And now she's on our show, so kind of a big deal. No, like pressure on us to get anything right this time or anything like that. But whatever. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, everyone. And we're going to start our interview with Taylor. But before we do, I want to make sure that we have the official bio read out. So just so we're all aware of how big a deal this really is for us to have her on the show. Taylor
and
is
you as a listener.
Oh, yes, very much. And you as a listener. Taylor is a technology columnist for the Washington Post business section. She covers online culture. Previously, she was a technology reporter for the New York Times business section. She's been with The Atlantic and The Daily Beast. Her writing has appeared in New York Magazine, Rolling Stone, Outside Magazine, Fast Company, and more. I see her all the time on CNN, MSNBC, NBC, BBC. She's been a 2019 Night Visiting Neiman Fellow at Harvard University. She's a former affiliate at Harvard's Berkman Klein Center for Internet and Society. I can't even believe there's so much more.
I know.
No, you don't have to read the whole. I feel so embarrassed.
This one is cool.
Oh my gosh. No, you wear this
cool.
with pride. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You earned all of this. No one handed it to you.
I mean, named Fortune's 40 under 40 list of leaders in media and entertainment in 2020. I will stop there, but there's so many more things. You can follow her at Taylor Lorenz on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for the best updates on what's going on in media and entertainment. Welcome, Taylor. We are so glad to have you here on the show. I cannot believe you're here right now.
This is so cool.
God, no. Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
We want to get right into the book because you've this is clearly your baby. It's so special and amazing. And I'm gonna, like, I think Jenny and I both approach this very teachery. So like, it's probably the things that are, you know, that come to mind, but also just things that really struck us. And I'm going to let Jenny lead with her first question, because I feel like it's a good one.
Okay. So first off, let me tell you, I devour nonfiction. This is so fun to read. The name of the book is extremely online. And Taylor, I kind of took it as like, this is the history of my internet experience, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So as I'm reading, I am resonating with a lot of quotes, like just connecting. And the first one that really spoke to me was when you're talking about mommy bloggers, you write the sentence, "The emergence of mommy blogs was a form of liberation for women."
Yeah.
Okay. I remember 2011, I was a stay-at-home mom and I had a newborn baby. I was bored out of my mind and living on a very small stay-at-home mom budget. And I had a mommy blog.
No way.
Yes!
I said the same thing.
Was it popular? No. Was it successful? No. But it was cathartic. It was great to find my people and to write about my space. Yeah. So right away, I thought, this was liberating for me. Being stay-at-home mom is so hard. Being a working mom, also very hard. But at least as a working mom, I connect with adults during the day. So I loved having my little mommy blog, even if it was just a project for myself.
That's so amazing. Yeah, it was so fun to go back and read like all of these blogs, like mommy. I mean, my book really covers too from like the early 2000s,
right.
like that whole rise. And yeah, it's so fun to go back and read. And also just how crazy the women's media landscape was. Like I was reading old magazines from that like late 90s, early 2000s era. And like the women's media back then was so crazy. Like I know we're all re-examining sort of like the aughts now, but like it was just so like paternalistic towards women. And it was just this like very like glossy view of motherhood that like just was so unrealistic. Like, so crazy to read. It's like I was reading something of like, it was just like, you know, prepare your child's lunch, like this, it was like, I was like, well, who is this for? This is so unreal. Like just all of these magazines were so unrealistic. So I see why people gravitated towards that like boom in mommy blogging, because the mommy blogs were like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, let's get real, because, you know, there's like, you know, so much.
I had to change 2 blowouts at Target today and I walked out with a naked baby.
Right? That's like that. Yeah. That's
it was
real.
so liberating to read that and have someone say, yes, this is my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's still a little bit of that culture that's remaining too. Like I feel like Pinterest in particular really kind of pushes that. Yeah. I think there's that whole movement towards like the perfect kids party and the perfect like, and you see these videos of women preparing these gorgeous lunches for their kids, and then, you know, the stitch with the woman who's like, I'm just gonna grab this bag of chips and throw it into a bag and fold it up and call it good. Like there is still a lot of that feeling out there, but I feel like the mommy blog in general has really kind of taken a dive, and it's been replaced by these other different forms of media. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I talk a little bit about this, and I you could literally write like a whole book on, and there actually is this book called Momfluenced, which is all about it's a good book. It's also just like all about kind of like the women's like mom influencer world. But yeah, this mommy blogs were so raw and so real, and so like they talked a lot about too like addiction and coping mechanisms and trauma, and then you had like Instagram and Pinterest come along, and it got like very visual and very like aspirational.
Filters appeared.
It kind of flipped back to like that magazine version of motherhood, and so now it's kind of just a mix of everything. But
at least the everything is like you can get inspired, but also like when it fails, you feel like you're not alone in that failure, right? Like that's the way that I'm kind of looking at it now, is like, okay, I tried, and you know, cake or not cake, right? Like it clearly doesn't look like Cookie Monster, but that's okay, because neither does this lady's Sonic cake and this other, you know, party, whatever. So
okay.
in that sense,
So that brings me to the next quote that really connected with me. Okay. You're talking about VidCon in 2010.
Oh, goodness.
And you said the barrier between fans and stars was porous in a way that it isn't anymore. The fame achieved by early content creators was a kind of fame that kept them down to earth. Okay, so I read this, and then I immediately thought of a short video, reel, TikTok, whatever we're going to call this clip, of someone making fun of this influence culture of like, oh, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I look perfect. And then I work out for 2.5 hours. And then I eat these rare organic fruits from the mountains of Tibet. And I close my day with 6 hours of outdoor yoga. And the lady is like making fun of this culture, thinking, yes, there are people out there who have completely taken their feet off the planet and their heads are so in the clouds. And it was too funny that I read that line the same week I saw this video.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. It's so real. And yeah, it's just so funny too to think of like how the internet has changed. I mean, so much of my book is sort of like the emergence of this new type of fame and what happened and how it all kind of went off the rails too. So, oh my gosh, I have to watch that TikTok.
It starts with her getting out of bed and putting on makeup, then getting back in the bed, curling her curls, her covers over herself, and practice waking up enough times to where she looks pretty.
Stop. I can't. Like the get ready with me videos are really like, it's a whole new level of like, why? And why are they successful? I don't know, because I don't really need to see how you have your perfect curls that came with that like head wrap.
Oh, that thing is such a scam.
Oh, is it? I am so glad to hear this because I've wanted it for so long.
No, it's worthless. Trust me, I've had that thing. Okay, so it's, we're talking about the tube thing.
Yes.
The silk one.
It's like a pool noodle for your hair.
Yes. I have not only one, I have two of them because the first one I bought and it made my hair look so bad. I thought, well, maybe I just bought the wrong one. I bought another one. No, it gives you this weird. If you have straight hair, I have very straight hair.
Me too.
It doesn't curl at all. It just curls kind of like parts of it. So it looks so janky. I can't even explain. It just, because you have to twist it around.
Right.
And so it's like this weird thing where like parts of your hair, because you're having bigger twists, like I don't know how to describe it. It just looks like garbage. Trust me, it might look good when these influencers take it out for a minute, but I swear to God that they're like touching it up with curling iron.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Just go back in time and do the pink foam rollers like Jan Brady.
Yes.
Those work.
I used to have those.
Yeah. I've also seen the girls doing the finger curls. That's amazing, where they're just like this and then and they pin it up and it somehow stays. I don't know how you could sleep in that though, because I feel like it would get flattened. But yeah,
I can't sleep with anything. It was hard. I mean, that was like the beauty of that pool noodle thing. So that the back of it's not on the back of my head.
Yeah,
but that's why it makes the back of your head totally flat. Like that's why it looks so weird. It's because it doesn't curl that back part really well.
And they never show the back of your hair in those videos.
That's the whole thing.
It's always
like you look like a fryer. Like you have like totally flat back.
Yes.
Like if I wanted to, I could marry Juliet and Romeo in secret.
Yeah,
right.
Like
exactly.
That's the hairstyle that you're gonna get.
That's great.
Oh.
Okay, so from that, talking about these kinds of videos that show up recently, the other quote that I wanted to talk about was talking about the Amazon influencers or the partners. And you said, with more people than ever shopping online during the pandemic, social media was minting new influencers faster than the brands could keep up. I have a friend I was in a Bible study with, I was close with this girl. She is one of these Walmart, Target, Amazon partners. And she started her business before the pandemic, but it exploded in 2020. And I just recently ran into her shopping at a charity shop here in town. And I'm wondering, maybe am I going to see some thrifted outfits in her new posts? But yeah, she's like, oh, shop with me at Walmart. Here's my newest Target haul. That's what she does.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever bought anything from her?
Oh, yeah.
That she's recommended?
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Yeah. it's just, I mean, I think like the rise of affiliate marketing is just taken off. Like,
right.
I mean, everyone has like a code now for everything, you know, like, and even just the most like niche, like creators.
Check out my LTK.
Yeah, I talk a lot about like the rise of reward style. I mean, Amber Ven's box, to be fair, like she was so ahead of her time. She's the one that founded reward style that made sort of like Instagram post shoppable and stuff. And
no, it's not.
Like that's
like I know someone who makes a living doing this.
Yeah, and you can make a good living.
Yeah. The one who I forget her name. I think her name is Catherine Benson. She's the one who's on TikTok she started the whole restocking ASMR videos.
Yes.
That was a big thing. And I was like really into it for a little while. She goes in and she'll like restock her kid's little refrigerator. She bought a new house. Like this woman was like, I don't know if it's because they've like just have a family where they've been saving for a long time. All I know is that this woman gets sent products all the time to try out, to restock, to clean her house, to do all of these things. And I'm like, how, like, this is all she's doing is refilling Downy in a bottle. Like that's what she's doing. And for whatever reason, this culture of like ASMR, I need to see all my products in their beautiful packaging as opposed to the Tide bottle is not appropriate anymore. Like, and I've totally fallen victim to it. I'm like, nope, my pantry has these clear containers. It's last in, first out. Like but it's a weird thing. And it's totally because of people being home and needing to restock stuff and getting, satisfaction out of doing it that way. It's absolutely connected to the pandemic and online shopping.
I made a snack basket.
Yeah,
really?
That's like as far as I've gotten into that.
Yeah.
Organization is not my skill set.
Mine either. Really I don't know if you can see behind me the mess.
Oh man.
But
that's why this cabinet is not
videos,
clear.
And I was like, oh, I'll make a basket that my kids can help themselves do.
Yep. Yeah, I have a whole section in my pantry where it's just if he needs to get it out, he just goes and gets it. But that was inspired by those videos. Wild. So I had similar feelings, but I'm glad that mine are a little different here. But I did 3 takeaways that resonated with me. My first one was just all of this happened in front of us.
Yes.
This was millennials in particular. Like we watched, I don't know about you guys, but I had dial-up internet when I was later on in high school, right? Like that's how we started with the AOL discs and the screaming noise, right? And then I didn't get Ethernet until I went to college, and it was wired Ethernet, but it was a huge deal that it was wired Ethernet in every room. And now we watched, iPhones come out, but this is all ours.
This is my life.
Yeah, my husband goes, I remember the first YouTube video that I watched, I was in college. I personally remember when Facebook came to our school because it wasn't out at every college yet.
Right. And you're like, I'm one of these big schools. Yeah.
Well, remember CU was early too. Like they were uploaded, they were like onboarding all these big state schools after the Ivy Leagues.
Right.
And so we got it really early. And I remember that moment. Yeah. Like I remember adding everyone in my classes.
Yep, I did too. And I remember like getting excited when I had my AOL Messenger because you didn't need AOL anymore. You could just have AIM Messenger and your away message. And I'm like all of these things at MySpace. I'm just like, this was my coming of age story.
Yes. Oh my gosh, what a great way to sum it up. I remember when Facebook hit Texas A&M, you had to have a university email. But A&M let you have like 4 email aliases. So we all made stupid Facebook accounts. Right? Like, I'm going to make one for this organization I'm in. I'm going to make one on behalf of my spotted umbrella. Like, it was the weirdest thing. And we all kept up with these silly accounts.
That's so funny.
Isn't it funny?
You're definitely boosting their numbers
early.
Totally. That was probably the biggest thing for me out of this whole thing is just, knowing this is truly my life, my coming of age story.
So good.
From that other perspective. It was amazing. And I loved being able to go, I remember that. So it's wild. But the other thing that I kept coming back to is I work in marketing now. I write content all the time, primarily like longer form blog, things like that for companies. But if I tell someone that I write content, they immediately go, oh, you're a content creator, right? And there's this negative connotation that comes with that. And I feel like when I hear that term, my mind, I don't know how big of a New Girl fan you are, but when Schmidt's like youths and he's all mad about like young people, that's where my mind goes when I hear that. And it's so, especially people our age and older, I think, associate that term with like TikTok dances and things like that what we all were like, TikTok, isn't that a song by Kesha? Like, what is this thing, right? As opposed to the people on there that are doing real work. Like I think about Casey Davis and how real she is about her ADHD mom life, and about Michael Vaughn, who's the guy who does he's the World Shaker account on TikTok, who talked about like how he helps his wife before he goes out of town. He recently went viral on like Motherly and a few other sites. Or there's a couple other accounts that I really love. At Team Two Moms is a really good one. They're normalizing that LGBTQ raising children lifestyle. I personally love Mamadou and his animal facts. He's like my favorite. Like just how he talks about how he's like, oh, hippos are awesome, but they will kill you kind of content. There's some real value to being a content creator, but yet it has this icky feel to it. And I'm just curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, so it's, I will say so much of what people say about content creators and influencers is actually kind of like, it goes back to the framing. And I talk about this a lot in my book of like, this industry was really built by women, and sort of from mommy bloggers, just like a lot of young women are really who created the content creator industry, a lot of times because they were shut out of the labor market, or they wanted flexible work, or they're just sort of creative. And I think that a lot of sort of stereotypes that we've all absorbed about the content creator industry are sort of due to like the framing of it in the media, especially when it was sort of first starting, because it was seen as this very silly thing, this very like, oh, that's not real work, or oh, it's like this sort of like soft labor where you're like, oh, you're just taking selfies of yourself and putting it on the internet.
You're so self-absorbed. Yes.
It's so funny. I wrote about, and this was like kind of a little bit mentioned, I think I mentioned it once in the book, but I wrote a longer piece about it recently. It's the 10-year anniversary this summer of selfie being the word of the year.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, you guys, the panic. There's like CNN articles, Psychology Today article, like, people who take selfies are narcissistic sociopaths, and just like this vitriol about like, and it was all women. It was like, these self-absorbed women taking selfies. And it's so funny because it's totally commonplace now. And it's totally, no one would ever sit, like, we all take selfies, but I think it's like, there was so much weird, deep, like loud media framing, especially on the content creator industry. And of course we see those examples of the most obnoxious content creators ever, So of course we are like, yeah, you're right. Like, fuck the,
you're good. It's fine. You're fine.
Or like, yeah, no, you're
people,
right.
Whatever.
Like,
yeah.
Forget those people, like they're so corny. But there's also like so many amazing people that also work in this industry. And it's very much real work, creating content is very much real work. But yeah, it's funny. And I think it's like, I mean, look, we all have jobs, like any kind of public facing job too. You're going to have those like outliers that kind of give your industry a bad name. You know what I mean? Totally. It's like, but yeah, I think the content creator world, it gets a bad rap.
I wonder if we were to go back in time to the late 80s, early 90s, and look at the tech boom through the lens of the baby boomer generation, if they would say similar things. Oh, well, you're just so into those computers, they're not going to go anywhere. That's not really important work. Oh, you're the chief dream officer. Well, those things turned into what I'm holding in my hand that could send a man to space.
Have you seen that famous, I think it's the Today Show, where like it's about the internet. There's like a viral clip.
Yeah, it's like Katie Couric and what's his name? Brant Gumbel, who are sitting there saying like, is it the internet? Is it the web? Like, yeah, I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Wow.
I watched it fairly recently where they're like, how do we even do this? What is this going to take
like,
off?
like, are people going to use this? People are not going to use this. It's just so funny to watch because you're like,
wild.
You guys sound so silly.
So out of touch. And yeah, or like, I mean, and that's something that I keep thinking about too with you're saying the baby boomer generation. The whole like fight against TikTok and ByteDance and all of it is fascinating to me. But watching these much older government figures, leaders say things like that literally sound like, does the internet come from the moon? Right? Like these
connect to Wi-Fi. That's like
right. It's a real question. And it's how out of touch are these people and are they gonna, I mean, many of them may not live another 20 years to look back and go, wow, I was really off on that one. But I don't even think they realize like how important these things are and how important the creator environment. I mean, maybe in a sense they do if they're trying to ban it, right? If they're trying to get it out of.
Well, they don't though, because that's completely a political thing. If they actually cared about data privacy, which by the way, they should, we definitely need comprehensive data privacy reform in this country. Like, I think that's kind of, actually most people agree with that, like no matter what side of the aisle you're on.
You're right.
But they don't care about that. They just want to ban an app. It's like, okay, you ban TikTok. Guess what? China can still buy our data from a third party Facebook, vendor.
Right.
We have absolutely no like laws protecting data, unlike Europe and other places. So let's get some laws protecting our data that could protect us from all apps, because TikTok's not even remotely the only Chinese app that's popular. Like, and these huge gaming's the number one form of entertainment, and like, half the gaming companies are owned by China too. Who knows what kind of data,
Right.
We need data privacy protected as a whole. This is like my soapbox because I hate this whole like, oh, let's ban this one random app that it's like, if you spend time on there, they're not showing you Chinese propaganda videos.
Right.
You're getting like, get ready with me's and
right.
Like
or
that.
you're getting, it depends on which corner of TikTok you end up in, right? Like mine is get ready with me videos. The girl who gets ready while she's like lip syncing rap songs. I forget her name, but she's really funny. And then like, pandas falling off of trees and stuff. Like mine's the most random, ridiculous stuff ever. You can also go into like deep corners that are super political on either side, right? And I think that there is a little bit of, it's a little bit of a liberal media sort of target in that sense. But it is really interesting that it all comes from this ick around creator culture and how it started. I forget her name, but the name of the girl that you talked about first in the book who was getting invited to party and she was like an e-celebrity and all of these things, but she got like online hate and she's still traumatized by all of this stuff
Julia Allison.
Thank you. Yes. I wanted to say Allison something, but no.
She totally quit the internet. Her story is wild because she was so ahead of her time.
Absolutely. She was the first, right? One of the first creators ever. And it's just really fascinating. The DKNY story is fascinating. I love all of that. So great. And yet you're right. It's all women doing this. And it's a very interesting take to say the patriarchy is part of the issue with the creator ick.
I kind of tie it to in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a lot of debate about America's economy being service-based and that we weren't producing anymore. And it's really because manufacturing costs less in places where there's less labor laws. Like we all know this. Right. This is not a secret. But now the United States is the leader in idea content, in building this new branch of media. So maybe we have moved away from a service-based economy, but just in a new realm.
That's so interesting. I've never thought of it that way. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot. It's also, there's a reason that the content creator influencer industry is so American and such a uniquely American phenomenon. Like obviously it exists in Asia, especially in other countries, but it's it's so ingrained in American culture in a way
Absolutely.
that it's really not in other. And I think it's because of our individual, like we have this hyper individualistic society. And it's also like, there was this really good writer that wrote this piece, and I forget his name, but he wrote about sort of how this creator industry revived the American dream, because as you're talking about, by the late 90s, there's all this income disparity. Like it's class mobility is not really there the way it used to be. And so it was like this notion of like, oh, can anybody make it in America anymore? And when the internet and social media came, they sell this idea of like, anyone can make it, just work hard enough. You could be the next big, thing. And so it's just kind of interesting to think about it in the frame of like that American.
That is nuts. Like I had a physical response to that. Like, I could feel the breath leave my lungs. Thinking, yes.
And when you think about
accessible and attainable for all.
Exactly. When you think about how people are literally making a complete living on restocking dryer sheets in an aesthetically pleasing container. I'm not kidding. Like these are things people are doing. That is the American dream. I'm putting in a little bit of work. Yes. I'm filming my beautiful nails as I do this, but also I'm making money from it. And I've done enough to feed my family and more. Like that's real. That's absolutely true.
My downside, of course, is,
my ideas and my identity are worth something.
Something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say the downside to it is it's selling this dream, but there's also like the flip side to it, which is that like this job has absolutely no labor protections, like no health care, like it's very hard to get health care, very hard to get so there's all these challenges as well. And of course not everyone can make it online inherently. So it is so much harder than you think, but it's just, anyway, it's just all very interesting, kind of just how things have evolved.
I mean, completely agree with the negatives that you're talking about there. It is, but I mean, when you're someone who is aspiring to be that, you don't think about those negative things. You're just thinking, there's my Downy, I'm pouring it into this thing, and now I've restocked my snack drawer, and I can film that, and I can make money from it. And that's all you're seeing. I mean, it's that whole Instagram glossiness all over again, right? Just in a different format. It's fascinating. I have to just ask, what are your, give me a big aha that you had. It sounds like this whole it's rooted in the patriarchy thing is a very interesting aha that you had, but give me another one. I'm really curious.
Yeah. Sorry. It was interesting how much of this industry was built by women. I also was just so interested in the relationship between the platforms, because so many tech books, most tech books are written through the lens of a single platform. We have so many Facebook books, but the YouTube book, the Instagram book. And I wanted to write a book that zoomed out a little bit. And, just writing the book, I wanted to go back and shake the founders of Vine and other platforms and be no, you guys are you got it. You're killing it. You're doing, and it's just these mistakes that these Silicon Valley CEOs make that now with 20, hindsight, you're that was so stupid. You didn't have to kill Vine, you didn't have to do all that. And so, and just the different models of social media and which ones won out. I talk about the war between Facebook and MySpace and kind of why this Facebook model won out when it did. And I don't know, it's just really interesting to see those interplay between the companies.
I loved that part. That was fascinating. And the way that you compared what MySpace was and how it contributed to the rise of Facebook. It was so interesting. And it brought me back to this tweet that I saw fairly recently of a kid who was like, how come Facebook doesn't let you personalize your page where you could play songs as soon as you get here? That'd be so cool. And I was like, MySpace, that's MySpace. You really want us to go back to MySpace? This is just, it was so interesting to see that perspective. And again, that relationship between all of them, I thought was really, really interesting. Really great. Okay, I have some rapid fire questions for you. Just a few. Okay. The first one is just, what's your take on Twitter? What's next? Is Threads going to take it over? I know I've seen some interesting things that you've put out there, and I think you said that you mentioned that another journalist in the process, but about how the goal has never been to make Twitter great. It's been to kind of dismantle Twitter piece by piece. But so tell me about that.
Yeah, Elon Musk does not want to, it's sort of his goal with Twitter is a political one. He wants to push a very specific ideology, and he will do anything to do that. So he is, kicking off all the journalists, banning people he doesn't like. There's no tech CEO that's more anti-free speech than Elon. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy. Like these arbitrary bans, the content moderation happening there, like Twitter used to actually be a very free platform. It was the one platform where you could really share so much. I mean, it's the only social platform you could share nudity. Like, it was just a lot of, Twitter was great in a lot of ways, very broken in other ways. But Elon's taken over and just, kicked off a lot of LGBTQ people. He just wants to use it to push a political ideology. And that's too bad, because he is definitely killing the platform. It's worth, I think Morgan Stanley said, less than 30% of what he bought it for. So, he has billions to burn. He's one of the richest men in the world. So doesn't matter to him. And also Saudi Arabia, he has so much Saudi Arabian money that's backing Twitter, which also terrifies me. I'm like, why doesn't the government take a look at that?
Why is that okay? Right.
That's totally fine. It's scary. Anyway, but yeah, I think Twitter's dead and gone. I don't really use Twitter myself very much, aside from sort of like keeping up with non-tech news. Like tech, it's just not a good place for journalism anymore. I'm into Threads, I have to say. I don't know if it'll take off, but I'm having fun on there. There's a lot of other journalists, and there's a lot of people on Threads that never used Twitter, but I think because it's like Instagram, they have an Instagram, so they just download Threads. So I've been using it and I really like it. It's almost the same as Twitter. It's just, it has a few less features, but all the core things are there. So
I agree. And I think the space is healthier. I don't know about you, but it feels like a less toxic space. Like, people are just so like, oh my God, it's so great here. And there's no hashtagging, and it's just like, it just feels like a happy place compared to other spaces on the internet. So I'm glad that you, that you like it. I think it's fun. Okay. This is something that I remember from several years back, but you had thoughts about Firefest when it first happened, and I loved that. But now there's another Firefest that's happening sometime in the future, someplace, and they've already got talent signed up. I have to know your thoughts. Like, you can walk us through what you first thought and now your new thoughts on this second one.
I know, it's so crazy. Well, I think just the fact that Billy, who founded, I can't remember his last name, but whatever his name is, Billy McFarland, I think. I think the fact that Billy McFarland could sort of have the second act and literally defraud so many people, and then be able to do it again. I just think, and I'm sure the second one, who knows, now it's such a meme, I'm sure it'll be successful, but I think it speaks to this like rewarding of grift. I mean, it's like, which I don't love, like, it's funny, but it's also like, I watched the documentary, one of those documentaries, there was two.
And I watched them both because
it's fascinating.
But they talked about all the people on the island that never got paid, and how it destroyed the lives of the locals. And it's just like, that sucks. That sucks to reward somebody that did such bad stuff and never make those people, whole. Like, never make that. Not
the environmental damage. I mean, there was just
tons of it.
So much fallout from that. More than I paid $30,000 and I'm eating a cheese sandwich.
Yeah. And I'm traumatized by the fact that I had no place to stay or anything like that. Like, there was trauma that went into the people who attended, but the complete devastation of where it happened, the people, the land, all of it was just horrifying.
That's what sucked. It's like, if he was doing Firefest 2 and all the profits were going to go to like the local people who he all screwed over, sure. But it's like, this is just a way for him to like, have a second act and grift. And I just think it shows how we value like fame and attention over everything. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's kind of one of those things too, where people who are buying tickets are like, I just want to see what a dumpster fire this is.
Totally.
Right? Like they know that's what part of it is. But I knew you had thoughts. I was very curious.
It just makes me sad. It's so funny and like ridiculous, and I totally want to like see how it turns out. But it just makes me so sad for all those local. Like, that was like the takeaway for me of like watching those films.
Yeah, really awful. Okay, my last question for you. You have 10 minutes to kill. What social media app are you on for 10 minutes?
Oh God. I mean, TikTok. It has to be TikTok.
Yeah.
I just can't go 10 minutes. I'll think I'm going on for 10 minutes and then it's 10 hours later.
Right. It's such a time suck. That's for 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, if I only have 10 minutes, maybe I'll check out LinkedIn and see what kind of messages I have there because it's only 10 minutes and it's not going to take my attention for more than 10 minutes. But if I really want to get lost in my phone, TikTok is the place to be.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh my goodness. Taylor, I cannot thank you enough for being here with us today. I know you're so busy and we're just so grateful. But once again, you guys, the book is called Extremely Online, The Untold Story of Fame, Influence, and Power on the Internet. You can already pre-order it, which is exciting. I've done that. It comes out on October 3rd, which is Mean Girls Day, just in case anyone was aware of that. I love that. I was like, I don't know if she did that on purpose, but I kind of hope
when they told me my pub date, I was like, oh my God, it's October 3rd. And like no one on the call got it. And I was like, okay.
Oh. Okay, never mind. Wrong audience. Oh my God. I would have been like, yes, I'm with you.
But I've been telling people to like remember. I mean, first of all, pre-order. The whole book thing is such a scam, like the way it works. Like, because pre-orders are like the only thing that count for like bestseller lists and stuff. So please pre-order. But if you want to get it the day of, it does launch Mean Girls Day. But yeah, pre-order.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you. I've already got mine pre-ordered and I got an alert that was like, hey, it's coming to you on this day. Yay! And I was like, yay, I'm so happy. I know, excited. So thank you so much for coming today. We're going to have links to places where you can pre-order her book in the show notes for today. We'll also make sure that you have links to her profile if you're interested in following. She gives lots of updates on entertainment and industry on all of our channels. So definitely check them out. And again, Taylor Lorenz, we appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right, y'all. Get online. Pre-order that book because it's a good choice. And we always want you to make good choices.
Yep. And read it. It's so good. You're going to love it. Especially if you're our age. You will just eat this book right up. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.